What's going on, y'all? 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 It's David David. Oh man. What's going on, y'all? It's David David. So this video is going to be the last video of my free-to-play series for the fire, water, grass units. I might add like the L&D units later on, but there's only like 1 or 2 of them right now. So if you missed the first 2 videos where I cover the nature and then the fire units, I'm going to leave a link for that like up here somewhere, so make sure to click on that card. I'll also leave a link like down below in the description and even the pinned comment. But yeah, hope you enjoy the list of the water units. Alright, so first up on the list, I actually, just like the fire video, I only have 1 4-star that's combinable, and that's going to be Gregory. So Gregory is really good for actually multiple different things, because his kit is so like, he's kind of like jack of all trades. So his first skill, you're going to get bonus crit damage, you get bonus damage if the enemy that you attack, or the enemies that you attack, since it's like a cleave, are higher HP, but also if you fully skill it up, is a 60% chance to inflict any of the enemies that you hit with glancing hit. And glancing hit is super important for like bosses, which I do recommend you take him into. His skill 2, it's going to be a knockback stun. It's kind of like copy pasted from Lucifer. So it's a 3-turn cooldown. You have a, I think, 70% chance to stun the target and knock them back. It's pretty good in like TOA stages, really good in PvP. His third skill, it's an AoE attack buff for everything around him, just like most buffs. AoE attack buff for 3 turns when you skill it up, removes 2 debuffs when you skill it up, and removing a debuff from a teammate or from an ally raises their action gauge by 20%, which is a 1/5 of their action gauge, which is actually a lot. This skill is like obviously really good in PvP. It's also super good in like armory. If you need like a free-to-play armory unit, he's really good. He gives your team the attack buff. He removes like the defense debuff that the boss does, and he fills up your attack gauge of all your allies. And then his 4th skill, it's kind of mediocre. If Gregory has no debuffs at the start of his turn, he just gains increased mobility. This is good to like get in better position for these 2 skills, but it's kind of lackluster. It's obviously better than nothing. But yeah, I would definitely recommend taking him in like armory, also PvP, and some TOA stages he's really good. Alright, so next up, starting with our actual 3 stars for this list, I have Lancelot. So I think, first of all, he only has 3 skills. I think Lancelot, if he had better base stats, like a Nat 5 base stats, he would be like incredibly OP. So I actually want to start off with his 3rd skill, his passive. His base defense is already increased by 20%, which is really good, and you'll see why in just a sec. The second part of his passive is he also has a 35% chance to counterattack when receiving enemy melee attacks. So just like the Ingway thing, just like Beelzebub, just like those abilities. So now his first skill attacks enemies in a line, so it'll attack someone in the one right directly behind them. Successful crits reduce the defense hit by 1 turn, and the skill's damage increases when you have greater defense. So just from having this passive, like when he's awakened with his passive, he already does more damage with this skill 1, and if you just build him like defense, he'll not only be tanky, but he'll also do a lot more damage. And you'll want to build him like crit damage, so like defense, crit damage, defense. He'll do a lot of damage and be super tanky. And then not only does this one scale off defense, this one also scales off defense. So attacks the enemy target, knocks them back 1 tile, so it's just like the Gregory thing except doesn't stun. Successful hits, there's no like percentage here, so it's basically 100%, will provoke the target for 1 turn. And if the target has lesser HP than you, so like if you use this from full health and you deal even like at least 1 damage to them, you'll reduce their attack for 1 turn. So like you'll provoke them, knock them back, and reduce their attack for 1 turn, and this skill does really good damage because it also scales off defense, and you get the defense boost here. So Lancelot, I definitely recommend using for like PvP. He's a good like CC unit for like TOA stages and some PvE stages, but I wouldn't use him on like rune farming or anything. He could also be really good on arena. And yeah, you can get him by summoning. I believe you also get him for free like in the beginning when you first start the game, so hopefully you saved him. Alright, so next up, at the number I believe 3 spot, we have actually one of my favorite 3 stars in the entire game. His name is Crocell, and he's going to be right here. So first of all, before we even get into his skills, when you awaken him, he goes Super Saiyan and his ears get longer and his hair turns like this. Now that's pretty cool. But all jokes aside, so his first skill is when you fully max it out, or not when you fully max it out. First of all, it does a ton of damage. When you successfully crit, it reduces the target's action gauge by 20, and building crit on him is super important because when you max out skill 2, it has bonus 20% crit damage, and if you kill an enemy with this skill, the cooldown for it is reset, so you can just keep going like on and on with killing. Excuse me. with using this skill and just like killing enemy units like in TOA or like even in PvP. But the important part, like my favorite part about him is his skill 3. Successful hits stun the target for 2 turns and reduce the action gauge of the target by 30%, and successful stuns increase his morale, increasing his speed for 3 turns. So this is his awaken skill, so you can't actually skill it up. But even so, like a 5-turn cooldown where you stun the target for 2 turns, reduce their action gauge, and increase your speed for 3 turns, it should come back up, especially with your skill 1 when you reduce their action gauge. Your stun should come back up at least by the time like they get unstunned, like the turn that they get unstunned, so you can do it again. Especially if you have like a speed leader or something like a Raphael, or like even attack speed reduction on the stun target, you should be able to loop this back and forth. And that's really really important for TOA, really important for PvP. And then his leader skill, it's a universal leader skill where you give 28% accuracy when it's fully skilled up to all allies, which will help you do this and help you with your skill 1. And I also forgot to mention, his skill 1 is extremely good in world boss, like the altar raids, especially the water one where you can like push the bombs against the boss. So yeah, he's a really good 3-star unit for not only just PvP, but like altar raids and TOA mainly. Alright, so coming up next, I actually have a unit that's fills an incredible like small niche, mainly just for TOA hard or TOA, like either works, but only for like boss stages, and that unit is Elaim. So the main reasons that you want to use her are her skill 1 and skill 3. So skill 1, when you skill it up, it's a 60% chance to land continuous damage for 2 turns. Now I know that sounds great, but the 60% chance is really low, so you're kind of using her for continuous damage, but you're mainly using her for her skill 3, which is her awaken skill. Floods an enemy with the lowest HP percent at the start of her turn, reducing its speed for 1 turn. So every time she takes a turn, she's going to do like an HP check, and whoever has the lowest HP, she'll reduce their speed for 1 turn. This is why she's so good in boss stages in TOA, because there's normally only just 1 unit, except for like Sia stages and stuff like that in TOA. But she's going to almost guaranteed reduce their target speed, and she'll also inflict continuous damage. Now her skill 2, it just does more damage based on how many debuffs they have. This skill would be great if she had like higher base stats, then I would say like go make her a 6-star and do a bunch of damage with her. But I would, first of all, her base stats are super low, so I wouldn't even make her 5-star. I would honestly just leave her like 4-star. Definitely don't make her a 6-star until like her stats get buffed. But yeah, and then her 4th skill, which is her leader skill, when you skill it up, it's plus 37% to water ally accuracy. That's actually a lot, because it'll definitely help with this. But yeah, I mean, you're probably going to want to be like running Freya, since you're only using her in like TOA boss stages. But yeah, definitely build her. She requires almost nothing. You just pretty much, you can probably even leave her at a 3-star, because you just have to keep her alive long enough to use her attack speed thing. Now coming up next is also another super niche TOA unit that I wouldn't use anywhere else that's not TOA. It's going to be Ekaterina. So I want to cover this first, because this is pretty much the only reason you use her. A direct attack on Ekaterina cannot exceed 45% of her max HP. So this means that she is first of all, she is super low base stats, and just like Elaim, you're gonna want to keep her at like 4-star, maybe 4-star, definitely not 5 or 6-star. Probably just keep her at 3-star. So if she gets hit once, which it's going to do a lot of damage because she's only 3 or 4-star, she's going to take only maximum 45% of her health. She gets hit again, she'll take 90% of her health, so she'll be at 10% health. She also has a heal. You can put like other ally heals on her, raise her back over the limit, because if she's at 10%, obviously the next hit she takes, she's going to die. So as long as you put her over 45% health, she can take another hit and not die. That's pretty much the only reason you use her, is to tank like super important things, mainly like grass units in TOA, but she can tank like water units if you build like an all grass team. So now covering the rest of her skills, her first skill is just like a ranged nuke. Successful hits will recover 10% of her max HP, but when you skill it up, it's going to be 15. Normally, you're not going to want to be attacking with her at all. You're just going to want to sit there and like take up damage with this. Her skill 2 provokes the enemies and reduces their defense for 2 turns, or just provokes the one enemy. It's a 4-turn cooldown with a 2-turn defense reduction. Like I said though, you're not going to want to be using this skill at all. You're pretty much just going to want to sit there and soak up damage with your passive. And then her third skill is actually really good, because it's only a 2-turn cooldown. It recovers your HP by 15%. I think 55%. You can use it on yourself, so you don't have to move within like 2 tiles of an ally. But yeah, so like while you're sitting there taking damage, say like you're gonna want to make her super slow so you can do like invincibility stuff. But like while you're sitting there taking damage, by the time it's her turn, she'll probably be like at least 10%, maybe even like lower. Just use this on yourself so you can take at least 1 more attack. But yeah, I probably wouldn't build her for anything else. Just leave her at like 3 or 4 star for TOA and you'll be good to go. Alright, now last up for my water free-to-play video is going to be Furfur. Now, Furfur you can actually farm from Tartarus, which is I believe the 7th stage. Only on Conquer you can find a Rift Dungeon, but I do recommend that you farm for her because she's incredibly good for like all different players. She can fit like a super big like niche for like a speed leader, but also she has like really good recovery properties in case you're missing like a Vivian or something. So let's go over her first skill. Her first skill, every time you attack, will apply a stack of continuous recovery on the ally with the lowest HP. But if you crit, which you should do, like you should build her on critical rate, at least like 85%, maybe even 100% crit just to make sure you land this, you'll add an additional stack of continuous recovery on your ally. This skill also does bigger damage when the enemy has more max HP, so like using it on bosses, using it on like rune dungeon bosses, you're going to do a ton of damage with this along with applying the continuous recovery. Her skill 2, I believe when you max it all the way up, it's going to be a 40% max HP shield and defense increase for 3 turns on the target, and it's only going to be a 3-turn cooldown. It'll push the target forward as well, so if you like speed tune to go after like an Esperanza or something, she can take her turn and then you can move up and place the shield on her and push her forward so she gets even closer to the enemies. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. A 40% HP shield and increased defense for 3 turns, and then once it ends, it'll come right back off a cooldown. That's like absolutely incredible, especially for a 3-star farmable unit. Her skill 3, this is her awaken skill, so it's not that good, or like the cooldown you can't really reduce it, but it'll reduce the target speed for 2 turns, and it reduces their action gauge by 20, so this is just really good for like bossing stages. Nothing special, but I mean anything that reduces the target speed for 2 turns is obviously pretty good. And then her leader skill is what makes her like pushes her a little over the edge, like above average for 3-star units. It's plus 16% to all ally speed, so it's universal, so it affects every single like element of ally, and you can use it pretty much anywhere. But yeah, she kind of replaces like Freya, whereas you don't have to, if you don't need the invincibility from Freya, you can definitely use her, especially if you need a healer. But yeah, definitely go farm a Furfur, at least one. She's going to be super easy to skill up because she's farmable from the Rift Dungeon. So yeah, go get you a Furfur right now. And that, my friends, is actually going to be it. That's going to wrap it up for my entire series on my free-to-play series. Please make sure you go check out the Google Sheet link. I'm going to leave that down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Make sure you go check that out, read up on it. It has everything that I've covered in all 3 of these videos. And also, like I said, as they add more 3-star units or like update any of the 3-star or even 4-star combinable units, I will be making other videos as well as updating the sheet. If you missed the other videos, make sure to go click the link. I think I left the cards up here in like the beginning of the video. I'll also leave them at the end of the video as like one of the end screen links. But yeah, please make sure to leave me a thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe and notification bell if this video even helped even a tiny bit. I super appreciate it, all the support and love that you guys give me. But yeah, that's going to be it for me, and I'll check you guys all in the next video. See ya!